Hey Hofstra fans, welcome inside this week's edition of the W.B. Mason Coaches Report here on GoHofstra.com. I'm Tom Brady, now with the pleasure to be joined by the head coach of the Hofstra men's lacrosse team, Seth Tierney. Coach, thanks for the time today.
Thanks, Tom.
Now, Coach, taking a quick look back at last season, fourth straight season you reached the NCAA tournament, first time in program history, very talented senior class. When you look back now, what do you remember from last year?
I'm just so proud of those guys and the things that they've accomplished here at Hofstra. You know, anytime that you can make some adjustments to that record book, and while it's under your watch, I think that's terrific. And for those guys that were here for 4 years, and certainly Jamie Lincoln for the last 2 years, I'm awfully proud of those guys. You know, you look back to when we recruited them, and you know, you remember all those stories and some of the highs and some of the lows that they went through. For them to play in 4 NCAA tournament games is certainly something that we'll look back on later on in life.
I know your team also kind of looked at it as a senior season for associate head coach Joe Amplo, a longtime player and of course a member of the coaching staff here. Now you have JP Brazel, picked him up from Delaware. What do you notice about that kind of
Yeah, Coach Brazel's done a wonderful job transitioning into, you know, the Hofstra way. And one of the things on why we chose JP is because, you know, he's a Hofstra guy. He's had some great experiences here, so we're thankful that he's decided to join us. He's done a good job. We wish Coach Amplo well in his new events that he's going to be taking place in, and certainly he doesn't have a season this year. So, but he's putting together a nice team, and we wish him well.
Now, as for your team, you mentioned it, lose some senior leadership, but still bring a lot back, especially starting on the defensive side, of course, in goal. It all starts with Andrew Gavazan coming up an outstanding year last season, and now one of the co-captains of this team.
Yeah, Andrew's done a great job. He really has done a great job leading the team. We need more from him. We need more leadership from everybody on the team. When you lose guys that played for 4 years, you know, it's hard to groom the next set because those guys did such a good job that graduated last year. So if there was one area that we need to improve on, is leadership, holding each other accountable, being a good senior, or being a good leader. And you don't have to be a senior to be a good leader. So we're looking forward to seeing who develops over these next 2 weeks.
On the defensive side, you do lose CAA Defensive Player of the Year, Mike Scooten, but you bring back a lot of experience. Cody Shalaya, Corey Caputo, Mark Mullen, who saw a lot of time on the man-down unit this year. Do you look at this defensive, close defense unit and really think of it as an experienced and veteran squad?
Yeah, they've gotten a lot of time. They really have. You know, but when you talk about defense, you have to include the rope or the short stick D middies and the long stick, you know, midfielder. And that's where we're going to, you know, obviously we're going to talk about that next. And that's where we lose it a little bit. It's a 7-man unit that's got to be, you know, moved together as one. And but we certainly bring back some guys, and Michael Hamilton you put in that group as well. He's done a great job, and he's done a great job speaking and leading us a little bit as we move forward in practices. So those 4 guys are fighting for some playing time, and then certainly Giuliano Bove and Tom Passanat and some other guys that are doing a good job fighting for some playing time down the close defense.
Now you mentioned the rope unit. Maybe yours, one of the most underappreciated in the country last year, Stephen DiNapoli, Tim Holman, Adam Ojika. Of course, a lot of those guys getting some time on the wings for the face-offs as well made them so key. This year, you know, we've heard a lot about some different guys, possibly Rob Belair's at long stick, Cole Kester, a freshman, Ryan Riley, a couple of different short stick guys. You know, if you're looking at this team, and is it helpful when you have a bunch of different guys who can slide in there, or would you rather really get that down to a set 3, maybe 3 or 4 guys?
It's helpful, but the menu is big. I would rather, you know, try to get some selections going. Unfortunately and fortunately, we haven't been able to do that. You know, the guys are fighting it out. I think we'll know more after this weekend when we scrimmage Lemoyne and Syracuse. But with that being said, that position is up in the air. It's the one position that, you know, the coaches talk about the most is, you know, the long stick. Right now, we probably have 3 guys that are fighting for it. Cole Kester has done a good job. We need his leadership. We need him to step up in a positive way. Ryan Riley has done a really good job as a freshman, and you know, obviously the expectations are a little bit lower for him as just being a freshman. And then Rob Belair's, who is a freshman long stick midfielder, but he's a junior on our roster and has been a goalie in his entire life, coming off an ACL injury. He's done a good job too. So we're trying to fit some spots together here, some pieces together. AJ Leary, Anthony Zappone, Zach Paul, all those guys are doing a good job. We moved a couple of freshmen, and Steven Romano and Corey Hendrickson, just to take a look at some other options as well.
Now moving over to the offensive midfield side, you're maybe boosted by the return of Steve Serling, and just talk about what he, you know, getting that rare 6th year from the NCAA and made a co-captain this year. Just talk about, you know, what it means to have him back as, you know, a leader and another senior this year.
Yeah, Steven's a wonderful guy. He really is. He's a wonderful person, and it's great having him back for me, for our staff, for our team, for the program. You can't say enough about Steven Serling. He had, just a few points last year. I don't know, maybe 8, 9 points only in 4 games, and unfortunately got hurt. We're hopeful that he's going to be, be with us all season long. He's a well thought out person. He's cool under some pressure, and he's been a mentor to a lot of guys on our team so far, and we haven't even started playing.
You look at the rest of the offensive midfield, certainly a lot of talent there, guys like Ian Bradish, Brad Loazzo, Drew Caholen back from injury, Aaron Jones. It looks like maybe your deepest position could be on this team, and when you're a coach like that, and you think about how many different lines you're going to run and what kind of advantages that'll give you.
Yeah, Coach Smith and I, the guys that are going to run the offense this year, we have some options at the midfield, and we have some options on how we're going to play those midfielders. The initial, we have changed probably 10 times since yesterday already, which is, it's good conversations. We're going to play heavy one midfield and then a second midfield and do it 60-40 or 70-30. And then some of the conversations yesterday was, that third midfield is pretty good, and we got to get them some time, certainly this weekend, and see how they do when the lights are on. So we're looking forward to that. We did move Drew Caholen to the attack right now as a left-handed attackman, so we're looking forward to see what he can do there for us. And certainly some of those other guys are fighting for spots.
So you mentioned the attack. You lose 3 seniors last year: Jay Card, Jamie Lincoln, Stephen Bentz. Certainly a very well-respected unit around the country last year. Now this year, you bring some guys back with some experience, guys like Torin Vaughn, Lance Yapor. You mentioned possibly moving Drew Caholen up, but maybe a guy like Michael DiNapoli, who we've seen. What can we expect from that attack unit as they try to come together? Well,
you hit the nail on the head. Those are the 4 guys that are right now that are fighting for some certain spots. But like every other practice or every third practice, guys like Graham Horvath and Tyler Begley are making the waters not clear and saying, hey, don't forget about me, and they're doing a good job. But right now, Torin Vaughn and Lance Yapor and Drew Caholen and Mike DiNapoli are doing a good job for a lack of game experience at this position. Drew played for us last year before he got hurt at the midfield. Michael played for us before he got hurt at the midfield. So we're talking about guys that have a little bit of game experience, but certainly not at the attack. And again, Sean Smith has done a great job doing a lot of individual work with them, and we're hopeful that they can grow up before our eyes at that position, because we're going to need them too.
And certainly a huge key in lacrosse is at the Faceoff X, where you bring back a guy, John Antonitis, who was in the top 5 last year pretty much throughout the season in faceoff percentage. You also have a guy in Zach Paul who had certainly done well at Quinnipiac before transferring over here. What can we expect to see from John and Zach this year?
Yeah, John is, he's the ultimate competitor, and he's a guy that just wants to go out and he wants to be the best. And as a sophomore, to be ranked 5th or 6th in the country, at the end, I think it's terrific. And he's done a good job of being a leader and getting guys to work out in off-season workouts and pushing guys in the weight room. He's in phenomenal shape right now, and we're looking forward. We know what John can do. We need to create a little depth there, and certainly Zach Paul is giving him everything he can handle at the Faceoff X during practice. We're going to experiment with some poles facing off. We've got a couple of freshmen that can face off as well, and we're looking forward to seeing some depth there. But knowing that John's back for even another year after this certainly allows you to sleep at night a little bit.
So when you look at the roster, obviously experienced at faceoff, very experienced on the defensive side. Is this going to be a team where you feel comfortable could win some tight, low-scoring games this season?
Yeah, I'd like to see how the offense reacts this week. Even in the fall, we didn't have a lot of our middies. I think we were missing 5 out of our top 6 middies in the fall event, so we haven't seen them play against anybody. When you play those midfielders, some of the pressure will come off some of those attackmen, and I'm hopeful we can do that this weekend against Lemoyne and Syracuse. We'll get the film, we'll study it, we'll break it down, we'll make the necessary adjustments before we head into the following scrimmage.
You mentioned scrimmages coming up. How have the first couple of weeks of practice been going, and how prepared do you think your team is going to be to get some work?
Well, I'm not sure who we have to thank for the weather, but we appreciate that. In years past, and certainly last year, you're playing in around 4-foot snowbanks. But right now, the weather's been great, and we're certainly thankful for that. And practice has been good, good effort, good energy, trying to compete for spots. And my job is to make sure that those guys know that their spots are available, and to reward those guys when they do earn them.
I'll be going up to Syracuse for scrimmages against Syracuse and Lemoyne. Seems like it's kind of becoming an annual trip. What is it about that trip that's so appealing to you as a coaching staff, and you like to see your guys go there?
Yeah, certainly when you can play against a powerhouse like Syracuse, and knowing that the scrimmage is going to take place because of the roof over the building, it's helpful. So we don't mind going back up there every year. We're thankful to Syracuse for allowing us to do so, and with Lemoyne being close by, I guess it makes it our time efficient up there, so we can get 2 scrimmages in on one day. We look forward to that. Some of the guys are upset that they might not miss the beginning part of the Super Bowl, but we'll see it, maybe watch it together in the locker room when we return for the second half on Sunday. And so that scrimmage has played a pivotal role, certainly in the success of us preparing to start the season.
And with that being said, scrimmages coming up this weekend, what are you looking to see from your guys in terms of them getting ready for the season opener?
I'm looking to see who has the confidence level of playing against a different color jersey. We're certainly confident when you're playing against your buddy or your teammate or the guy that sits in the locker next to you. Now we need to make sure that these guys, they show up and they know that they belong. We'll be prepared for those scrimmages. They need to bring the effort. They know that. They need to bring the energy. They know that. And the execution, it may be off a little bit. Losing all those seniors, we understand that. We can fix those things throughout the course of time. But as long as they bring the things that we can't coach, then we'll be okay.
I know it's still early, Coach, but maybe what are some of your expectations going into the season?
Yeah, right now we want to make sure that we get to the CAA tournament and win the CAA. After that, we'll reshuffle our goals. But right now we have a very, very difficult schedule. With the addition of North Carolina and Notre Dame to our schedule, we are going to be challenged all year long, and we're thankful for that, and we'll be up for the challenge. And there, again, losing all those guys, there could be some bumps in the road. Let's handle those bumps. Let's see how these guys react after a bump happens, and let's be prepared for what could be a wild year in the CAA.
All right, Seth Tierney, head coach of the Hofstra men's lacrosse team. Thanks for joining us inside this week's edition of the W. Mason Coach Report here on GoHofstra.com.
Thanks, Tom.